So we're back with Danielle. Great to have you with us. How are you doing?
I'm very well. It's always a privilege to share the stage with you.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be with you guys as well. So this TV Key Facts edition highlights, of course, the importance of combining technology with human insight to enhance our industry. So let's start with the big picture. How can this convergence between technology and human insight be a game changer from a media and advertising sales house point of view?
If you look at our job as a sales house, AI is really an amplifier in all the areas. And combined with the human touch, it's really bringing us to the next level. Or as a colleague put it once, AI is helping us to do what we don't want to do, what we cannot do, or what takes us too long for us to do. Concretely, there are at the moment, I think, three areas that I would like to highlight where AI is already making an impact in our business. There's our partner ITV in the UK that used AI to address new types of advertisers.
Okay.
So usually when you do TV, it's pretty expensive in terms of cost for creating a spot, right? It can be like £75,000 and upwards for a TV spot. They managed to use AI in the production cycle and drop the cost to about £2,000 to £3,000 per spot.
That's a huge drop, yeah.
This makes it completely accessible to a new type of advertiser.
Of course.
Secondly, I want to highlight an initiative that is going on here in Cologne at RTL Germany.
Great.
They are using AI to better forecast their program reach. So when you look at the audiences in linear television, you always have to have an idea, okay, how much will there be of which type of audience? So AI is helping them to better forecast, which then leads to better monetization and also more impact for the advertiser. And finally, I think AI is helping us to make advertising more accessible to people with disabilities. Think about closed captionings or descriptions of advertising spots where AI already helps to do that on the fly.
Okay, so this is from obviously a sales house point of view, and I'd now like to hear you on what this convergence looks like for on the content creation side.
It's always two sides of the story, right?
Sure.
Advertising and content. And if we look at the content side, there's a nice study from a company called Runway, a Gen AI company focused on video. They estimate that by 2027, 50% of all video content that we will be able to watch online is AI generated. And that increased from 0.5% in 2023. So what we will be facing is a giant explosion of video content that is available to us. So of course, from an editorial side, it's also a huge task to keep the integrity of the content, to make sure that it is fitting the purpose that it needs.
Now, we are, of course, evolving in a very fragmented landscape as well at the moment. So how can AI help to engage with audiences for, obviously, the sales side and on the content side again here?
Yeah, again, I think AI will really help both sides of this game to excel. So if you look at it, if you're trying to find something, we saw the figures earlier on the streamers, if you're trying to find something on a VOD, broadcast VOD or streaming platform, it takes usually quite a bit of time.
Sure.
So Nielsen already in 2022 estimated that per session that you want to watch something, it takes you about 24 minutes in the US to find the stuff that you want to look at.
That's the story of my life. I mean, every time I go home in the evening, I'm like, I want to see a series, and it takes about 10, 15 minutes, and I end up falling asleep.
And then you end up watching nothing, the whole time you were searching for something.
Sure.
So here, AI can really change the game. Our colleagues at M6 in France are developing an AI that will help their broadcast VOD platform, M6 Plus, to have a more natural engagement with AI from the user experience.
Okay.
So imagine you come home and you have 30 minutes with your 10-year-old and you just want to watch a cartoon that fits this purpose, 30 minutes, nothing else. So you will be able to naturally talk to the platform and just say, hey, I have 30 minutes with my boy, recommend something. And that will lead also to better advertising, because then we understand better what is the context of your viewing experience, right?
Sure, sure, sure. This is going to change a lot of people's lives, I guess, as well. It's great news. So at this year's Cannes Lions, you introduced another application made possible through a new tech alliance. And I think it's a great idea if we share it with everybody today.
Sure, sure, sure. And we're at a good place to do so. Yeah. We're at RTL Germany, who partnered up with their former biggest rival, ProSiebenSat.1, to create the Tech Alliance, which is essentially a collaboration on the ad tech, which is, as we said today, there's technology and there's humanity on the other side. So technology is really the foundation of AI. And what will this enable? That from a broadcast perspective, they're using all the smart TV data, usage data, like a live panel, to understand who is watching what and which in ad breaks are watched by whom. So they can adjust the spots a few seconds before the ad break, targeted on that audience. So this will enable, on the one hand, a better monetization for the broadcasters, but on the other hand, also more impact for the advertisers, because you will have that audience in front of you that you want to connect to.
Okay, great opportunity there. There's a lot of opportunity, we can feel it, but with opportunity, of course, comes risk. Do you see any specific risks with technology in your field, again, sales house content?
Sure. I mean, as I said, if we think that half of the content that will be out there is AI generated, there's a huge responsibility on the editorial, on the content side, to also ensure that there's no copyright infringement, there's no personal rights infringement. It is fitting to the law context of the specific country, right? So there's a lot to do on the content side. On the advertising sales side, we have equally big, let's say, homework to do when it comes to AI. Yeah. And I want to underline three things here. So if you think about AI, the first crucial step is the underlying data, because the AI systems are trained on data. So if that data is already flawed, biased, or in some kind of way not correct, then everything AI will produce, the output later on, will be flawed as well. So there has been a lot of research going on. There was a researcher at Google, Timnit Gebru, who focused on this aspect of understanding what are the ethical boundaries and foundations that we need to create for that data that goes into AI. Secondly, a big risk for us is advertising fraud. So we already, it is estimated that about 20 to 25% of all advertising investments are fraud, let's say, based, meaning no human being has watched it, some clickbot has watched the ad. So now if you think about that giant explosion of video content generated by AI, and then being watched by AI, bots, right? It's not a good, let's say, return on investment for an advertiser. So here's a big task for us to ensure ad fraud is minimized the best way possible. And finally, another risk is that the output of the AI is, let's say, not fitting or not correct. You know, we already have this situation that sometimes AI is hallucinating, right?
And you need to create a framework, is that correct as well?
Exactly. I think if we look at those three things, that's where we urgently need to create a framework to ensure that the underlying data is correct, that also the input of us human beings with the data, so the prompting is correct, so and the output is verified and is fitting to the content.
And so what does that mean then? What it means that how do you actually go about creating an effective framework for AI in this very data-driven world then? How do you do that?
So as I said, three areas: underlying data, input by human beings, and the output. So if we look at the underlying data, we have some great content actually this year in the TV Key Facts looking at the essence of why the data needs to be verified and correct, right? So we are trying to share a lot of experience with our partners, advertisers, and clients on that field. Secondly, the input by human beings. When we interact with AI today, either via typing something in or speaking with it, we need to understand that everything we put in will create a result. And this can be biased. So there's a great example of a Unilever brand called Dove. They created an AI playbook. So for creators or people that interact with AI to understand how do I prompt AI correctly so that the result is not biased, is ethical, is correct representation of what I want it to be.
And anybody can consult that then?
Anybody, you can download it actually for free. You just have to look for it in the internet, but it's the Dove playbook for prompting AI. And finally, the output.
Output, yeah.
So here I would say very clearly it starts and stops with humans, right? So whatever you put in, we talked about this, will define what comes out. But even when it comes out, as I said, AI sometimes is just hallucinating, right? So you need to really check, is it fitting the cultural context of what I was trying to say as an advertiser, for example? Is it fitting the law, like environment in that country? So there are many aspects that you have to look at and verify the output. You cannot just use it and then put it in the world. It won't be the right way.
And there's a new rule that we could maybe talk about as well, like a...
Yeah. So if you if you think about it, in the future, AI will create this new 80-20, let's say Pareto rule, right? So 80% of the heavy lifting, the stuff that we don't want to do, the stuff that takes us too long, the stuff we're not good at, right, can be done by AI. But that 20% of the human verification of the data, verification of the output, that is needed to really create the 100% impact of AI.
So as we celebrate this marriage between tech and human insight, would you say that the future was bright, Daniel?
I would say that, me personally, I'm a bit of an optimist on this topic. But what I would say about our industry is that we're in the early stages, right? We're testing, we're trying out how to leverage AI in the many different areas of, that we're working in. Content creation, we're at EFA talking about agency work with AI, advertising, sales house. We're all trying to find the best way. There will be a lot of mistakes, for sure, done with AI. But on the long run, I believe that it will help us to create more engaging content, which automatically leads to better advertising experiences and possibilities, which ultimately leads to everything we work for, which is more bang for your buck, more ROI for the advertiser. So in that sense, I think it will have a great impact on our industry. Thinking more globally, I think as human beings, we have always been very creative. Ingenuity is all around. We do a lot of stuff, we do a lot of mistakes, but we also have the ability to reflect on it. And that balance, I think, will be key when working with AI. So that ultimately we will use it to really boost our best efforts and improve our world on this. And I would say, contrary to maybe what some colleagues think of me, I'm a pretty glass half full guy when it comes to it. I think that what comes next in terms of AI for us is really great.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for all of this great insight and this great discussion. Thanks, Danielle. Now it's time to celebrate this union, a partnership grounded in balance and purpose, ready to take us, of course, further. And who better to give the wedding toast than Stéphane Coruble, CEO of RTL AdAlliance. Please come and join me.
Ik voel hem niet echt.
Félicitations.
On va tout faire quand même.